Welcome. Another gorgeous day on Planet Art. Who knows what's happening over here in Scottsdale, Arizona? It's a little bit wonky, but another day of Dose of Did You Know, where intriguing, inspiring, unique individuals come to talk about love and life and how it has brought them to where they plop today in this world. And with me is my guest, Stephen, all the way from Hawaii, which I've never been, which sounds amazing. How are you?
Aloha, Danny.
I love it. So is it nice there? Because now that I live most of the time in Arizona, I'm like, come on, tell me how nice it is, because it's pretty darn nice here.
Well, it's about 80 degrees year round. Water's about 82 to 84, something like that.
But is it
It's rain on this side, though.
Is it humid is my big question.
Yes and no. So I'm on the east side of the island, which is the wet side. And so it's not humid, but it rains every single day. But it's warm rain. And that's why you have jungle all over this side and beautiful forest and guava trees everywhere and all that good stuff.
All right, I have to pop a squat out there for a short time, and then I'll give you my professional opinion on weather. I could be a weather girl, and maybe I was a weather girl in another life. I don't know. But before we keep going, tell the world a little bit about who Stephen is. What made me say, not only do I need to like share your story, but we need to do it in 3 parts because it's like cray.
Well, I'm a former United States Marine. And I guess I'm an unlikely candidate to be a theater playwright and a PhD in literature. Translation adaptation studies. It's been a crazy road from boot camp to the PhD, but I think it's just like the story that you tell. When you get to a certain point, life gives you ups and downs, and that's things you learn in the Marine Corps, that you just keep going, and that cannot be the way the story ends. And you know, and if you keep persevering, there's no telling where you can go. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where we all fit into this.
Okay. And I have to tell you, I never told you this before, but when we first chatted and I was like, God, he reminds me of somebody. It drove me crazy. So I had this friend from, gosh, it was before high school. So I must have been maybe just entering high school, 9th grade. His name was, Kwame, and he ended up being a United States Marine. And your mannerisms and even your look and your voice, I was like, what is this? Yeah, and you just reminded me of that when you were talking. I'm like, so weird, like to the T. Have you ever met someone like to the T? Like you're like, come on, are you guys related? You're not, but
well, we are. I mean, that's the whole thing. He's a Marine, so he's a fellow Bella Woody, fellow Devil Dog, and you know, you can't shake that. Now that
it's in your blood, and it manifests in so many different ways. So, like, what made you join the Marine Corps? Did you have a reason? I'm always fascinated by this as a mother, because I have this story that when Jacob, that's my Marine, came out of boot camp, he sent me like all this stuff. Like, can you just hold this? Because, oh no, it was his first deployment. He sent everything home. And yeah, I'll hold it. Well, I'm nosy, like FYI, just saying. So of course I went through it, and I like organization. So I'm like, this is a disaster. And I found that out when he was like, can you send me this form? I'm like, what is that form? He's like, it's the certificate saying I got tased, and I really don't want to get tased again. So can you find it? This is what started my nosiness, because I had to go find this. And I was like, this is a disaster of files. He was not a neat Marine in that section. But there was this note I found that he never finished writing to me in boot camp, and it was his reason of why he joined the Marines. I'm not going to share it because it's personal, but I keep it in my Bible. Like it was, so I got to ask that question. What made you?
Clint Eastwood's Heartbreak Ridge. No.
Well, I mean, come on, Clint Eastwood, why not? I mean, he makes me want to join.
However, I will have to admit, it played a factor into it. So did Full Metal Jacket. It wasn't the reason why I joined, but when I joined, I'm like, it has to be the Marines. So, but what brought me into the military period was that at the time, I was in college. My parents, they're in Palo Alto, and my girlfriend at the time, who they absolutely were just devastated about. They're like, "Oh Jesus, no." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? She's wonderful."
I know the story, so I might have been like, Steven.
So, apparently, so my girlfriend at the time got pregnant, and it was a big family emergency. I disappeared for a couple of days, did some soul searching, and I figured if I'm going to take care of this child, I need to join the military. I mean, many people on my mom's side of the family, they were all Navy, and I'm like, there's no way I'm joining the Navy. And then this is where the movies and the uniforms start to play in. I'm like, the uniforms are cooler. It's the toughest, it's the hardest one to do, and I can do this. Okay. So I went to Oakland, went to the MEP Center, talked to a recruiter. I come back 3 days later after I'd enlisted, and well, actually, I called my mom on the phone to let her know, and then she dropped the phone and went running down the street screaming, and my sister's driving the car looking for her, mama, that kind of thing. She's like, you're going to get killed. You're going to go to war. You're going to get shot. All the things she said did come true, except for getting killed. But she's like, are you crazy? The Marines, of all the ones you could go, why not like the Air Force or something? Or you just want to throw your life into trouble and danger? And yeah, and so I ended up, after she calmed down, she was okay with it. My dad, he's always been all right with that. He's literally a rocket scientist. He designed missiles for Lockheed, and that also played a part into it. He was a very patriotic guy. I always wanted to be like my dad, and to serve my country, and to, during the Cold War, I was always like, it's my dad who kept us safe from the Russians. That was his thing, so yeah. I grew up in that kind of a world. And he was okay with it. So off I went to boot camp. And when I got there, I found out that, well, she said that she had had a miscarriage, which years later I found out she wasn't even pregnant in the first place. And so I was already in. And once you're in, you're in. So, and like they say, listen up, double dogs. There's two ways out of here, the easy way and the hard way. And the easiest way is through them gates. You got to graduate. The hardest way is you mess around, you get hurt, you're going to be stuck here twice as long. So, and then plus I just kind of fell into my own element there. I became a squad leader, and then after that I got meritoriously promoted, and I loved it. It was a world that just spoke to me. It was like, this is somewhere where it's finally based on what you can do. It doesn't matter about where you come from, who you are. It's about doing what you got to do. And if you can complete the task, then you can earn the title. And I loved that, and I respected my drill instructors and tested them and all kinds of fun stuff. But I guess that was the reason.
Yeah. You know what I love about your story is because I learn the hard way. I'm like a super thick person. Like I got to learn by experience. Like my youngest is like that. And I just want to like throat punch him sometimes. I think it's because I'm like looking at myself like, really? Really, do you have to go through it to learn it? Can't you just like listen and take my advice? So the advice out there to everybody is you never get married or make a decision under like tense circumstances, or if you end up having premarital sex and having a baby. It is no reason to get married or I don't know, start a whole career. I mean, it was a great career, so good. But again, don't make decisions when you were at a height of
emotion like that. Yeah.
Right. You're supposed to just sit. It's like I bought a minivan when I found out I was having a third child because I freaked out. Bad choice. Right? Like a minivan woman. No, it was awful. Lost money. I hated it. It was terrible. Never make decisions in a state of panic. So lesson learned.
Especially if you're 19.
Not good. So we're going to continue on with this lesson. We're going to use this section of your life as a learning experience of how your love at the time brought you into where you are now, but phase 2. So tell us about how that relationship went when you went off to Okinawa. Okinawa? I can never say that word.
Okinawa desu. Yeah. I love Okinawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Christina, Mama was right. They always are, So, but and we were very young, so Christina had her own reasons why she wanted to get out of her household. She had a really rough childhood and an abusive family situation. There was all kinds of stuff going on there. But when we got together, now I'm a 19-year-old, chewing nails Marine and just ready to go overseas and see the world and all this stuff. And she's like, I'm coming with you. Because that was the whole point of getting married. Now you're going to go somewhere. Now, where am I going to be? Back here with my parents? I'm coming. And I'm like, but I don't think you can. It's an unaccompanied tour. I'm supposed to go by myself. She goes, they can tell you what to do, but they cannot tell me what to do. So she went to Moffett Field, got her vaccinations, got on a plane, and showed up in Japan. And my command went absolutely crazy. And they're saying, you have to send her back. I'm like, how? You send her back. What am I going to do? I can't put her in a box and mail her. She's
a human being. I have no control over her, obviously.
Exactly. And, we had already had quite a wild ride in Carolina, because Christina was quite a drinker, and then we're young and we're raising hell pretty much over there. And I'm like, oh my God, she's coming to Japan. And I had a couple of my buddies who had already known her and known us, and they're like, oh my God, Richter, what are we going to do? We're going to end up in the brig. And I mean, as an example, the very first night she arrived, and I got to watch my language though.
Well, just let's just put it out there if swear words happen, because sometimes they happen on this show. Children, leave, or parents, if you're bad parents, let them listen. I don't know. It's all up. It's in your world. I've given the notice.
And it's all quoting. I mean, this is Marine speak. It's just it's a culture that's been going on since 1775. Yeah. So when we first arrived in Okinawa, the first thing the gunnery sergeant who was bringing us our orientation was telling us, he's like, all right, listen up, double dogs. There's a few things that are going to get your butts in trouble out on this island. Well, on my island. Everything is mine in the Marine Corps. My island, my world, my deck, my fire. Yeah. It's like, so while you're on my island, you will not go up to BC Street or to Whisper Alley to see the snake shows or the banana shows. And these are, the infamous shows where all the sailors and Marines go, and it's that kind of a place. It's a heavy drinking alley area. It's a red light district kind of thing. So we're like, of course not. We don't want to go there. And they're like, and believe me, you do not want to see the banana show. It's the same woman who was there when I came to Vietnam in 1968, and she's still doing the banana show now. So believe me, you don't want to go. And so we left it alone. And when Christina arrived, that's when it began. All of us were like, hey, welcome to Okinawa. Let's go out to eat. She goes, I want to go see the banana show. I heard about that stuff.
This is where it begins.
And so we're like, oh, God, we really probably shouldn't. She's like, what are they going to do? We got to go. Like, come on. I've been in the air 20 hours. So we're like, all right, we go up there. We get in a cab. And it's just my 4 buddies, Christina, and myself. And when we get to BC Street, the drama begins. We're walking. We'd already been drinking a little bit. And Christina says, I got to use the restroom. And she goes, to hell with it. And she lifts up her skirt, takes a squat in the street, and she's peeing. And then there's...
Boys. I just got to say, this is where you're supposed to walk away. You were supposed to be the bigger man at this point and be like, I think it's time to go home.
Well, there was no time.
Your mother in the first place.
there's no time to be big because across the street, 40 sailors start going, "Woo, baby, yeah!" It's so,
Listen to
like,
your mother, boy.
sailors, we're the only Marines in this area, and so we grab her and we go down these stairs into a club, and just our luck, it's the Banana Show. Yeah, so we're in the place. We're like, great, but they have other dancers and stuff going on, and we're sitting at a table, and my night's ruined already. So I'm just looking straight ahead, canatonic stare, 1,000-yard stare, and the dancers who are on stage were kind of like reacting to that. So there's like, body movement to the side, my peripheral vision, but I'm not looking because Christine is staring straight at me, going, "What are you looking at?"
This is called bait. What is it, like bait and hook? This is when a girl says, "Hey, let's go do this," and then really all she wants to do is just like be mean to you. Like, I'm going to put you here, and then I'm going to yell at you.
So I said nothing. I'm not looking at nothing, anything at all. And she's like, "What? You like that? You think she could dance better than me?" She jumps on stage, starts dancing. The sailors go wild again, the whole place. Pandemonium begins because finally they end up carrying her off on the shoulders. Like, it was just bad. My buddies and I were trying to pull her back. A fight starts and it turns into a full-on brawl. The Japanese police come. Pepper spray is flying. I finally am like, to hell with all of you. I run out of the building, sprint down the street.
Ow.
Hide in a doorway because I did not want to go to the brig on my 3rd day in Okinawa.
No.
And
so out of all that lesson, I hope there's a lot of lessons out there of just like, you don't even have to be in the military, just like life in general of do's and don'ts that you should take from that whole story. So does she leave Japan or does she stay with you till you come back?
No, she stays in Japan for the entire year. She forced the issue, and then I followed through with it with the chaplain. I'm like, what am I going to do? It's not like I can send her somewhere. She doesn't have a home like that. I can't go back not to my parents because they were against the whole thing in the first place. They're like, okay, you're joining the Marine Corps, then there it is. The Marine Corps will take care of you and your family. And so, and what was, what was worse was the chaplain at the time. He gave me the thing, he's like, and everybody's heard this, but they're like, "Listen, son, if the Marine Corps wanted you to have a wife, they would have issued you one." He goes, "But I'm going to help you out here because she's already here." So we were able to live in town, but I lost all my overseas bennies and all the cola and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But hey, at least we were there. And then she stayed for the entire year. And my daughter Zoe, she got pregnant, and Zoe was born in Okinawa, and then off they went back to the United States about 3 months before I went home.
So that is, I love that. I love that story because I can giggle with you about it now, and it's part of your life, and it's made you who you are, and has led you into this next chapter of your life. And I think it's a lesson I think we learn by stories, right? Which kind of, you're a storyteller now, and this is what you do, and it brought you into this creative side. And I feel if you didn't have these little chapters, you'd be a very boring guy, basically, compared to who you are right now. And also, I just heard this because I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God. And I love Jesus, and I'm like on Jesus's team. And I heard this thing is like God works. If you look at stories, right? If you look at the biblical stories or any stories, He works through people that have had, what do we say, like light in their life. It's very colorful life. Like things are worked through that. He doesn't work through people that have silver spoons in their mouth or haven't had.
Like Simon Peter, he was a tax collector, for crying out loud.
Right? Like, so I feel that if people open their hearts and listen, when stories are told, you can really see and grow from it and learn. And your little snippet here, I really feel that's why I wanted to share this. And you have so many snippets. That's why this is a 3-part series, people. The next one, I have to cut you off because it's already, the show's over. But the next part is how He doesn't stay a Marine. He gets out of Marine, and that was a great side of his life, and built this foundation. I think that is really fundamental. But he hasn't quite learned. Stephen, I'm going to talk about you like you're not here. He did not quite learn the straight and narrow. Maybe God still had some work to do in him. So he ends up hanging out and chilling with the Mexican cartel. And because that just happens to people. Oh, and the Italian mafia. It just happens. I mean, like, those are just things that most people just pop into in their life. Not really. But that is going to be part 2 of this 3-part story. So everyone will have to wait to hear, how does Stephen end up involved with the Italian mafia and then hanging out with the Mexican cartel, basically. I don't know how any other way to put it, because that's just what it is. I can't sugarcoat it. That's the facts. Just like that. So, Stephen, before I let you go, and you come back next time to tell the middle section of your life, as I like to say it, in this moment right now, this is my ending question to you. Right now, first thing that comes to your heart and your mind, just pop it out and say it to me. What does love mean to you?
Love means, well, love means caring for someone way more than you care about yourself, and always being willing to say, I'm sorry.
Mm. Yeah, right? Good. Maybe having that story, rehashing that part of your life, really brought that to your heart right in this moment. But it is really true. It's really hard to say sorry and mean it. Like, words come out all the time, but having
that, love means you never have to say you're sorry. It's like bullshit. You better learn that one quicker. That's the biggest point, is that, is being able to admit when we're wrong. It's okay. We're human. We make mistakes. Everybody does. It's not the end of the world, or the end of the story, right? So that getting all that out the way is a huge part. And, my mom, she's such a saint. And after talking with you now, I realize maybe that is what really happened. I still hadn't learned the same lesson, because all these things kind of repeat the same kind of cycle. Even when Zoe was born, in the middle of Typhoon Bobby, we're running the barricade and all that. It always comes back to trying to force something, and that's a tough one to learn, especially for a Marine.
God is so good. He is such a loving father, because guess what he's going to do? He's going to give you those lessons until you learn it.
Right.
He's not going to make you a Sally. He's going to turn you into a man or a woman. He's going to give them till you actually achieve them. And so what a loving father. And I am so glad that came to you, because it's so true. Again, I'm thick. I've had to relearn a lot of lessons, or be given a lot of lessons in my life. Oh, well, Stephen, thank you for coming on and sharing this first snippet. The second snippet, we will learn all about your Italian mafia and Mexican cartel life and what that was like. I find that very fascinating, because I do have history of the Italian mafia in my family. Like, that's why we became Americans, basically. We ran from that side of the family, but it's not about me, it's about you. But we're like that, we're twinning in that way. I don't know. Not the best way to twin, but it's a thing.
Hey, I tell you, that lesson, it's like, I've heard this somewhere before. Somewhere before. Oh, no.
To everybody out there that is watching, remember, as always, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. Until next time, take care.
Rough.
I think it doesn't want to stop recording.